This is the Between Ghosts of El Paso Part 10. It is the calm after the storm that was the Siege of El Paso. Wyatt Walker is dead. Travis has taken up the mantle of Marshal of El Paso. And you have 3 active threats, despite having repelled a very immediate, dangerous threat to the town. There are still 3 ghostly problems. The Vigilance Committee's work does not cease. It does not take time to mourn. The current active threats, I'm going to spend a little more time on the Blue Boy, but are the hunt for Rebel Gold. You are on one question right now, which is, where is the missing gold? Do you believe that the missing gold is connected to the Memphis in a really sort of spiritual cosmic way, because you were all having dreams about this gold and they started when the Memphis ruins turned up, or the Memphis wreckage, no ruins. We have Ghosts Be Gone. Dr. Jebediah Clarkson has been peddling false reassurances to the people of El Paso, making the Vigilance Committee's job ever more difficult. And you have 3 different questions there, all of them different ways of resolving the threat with Dr. Clarkson. And then we have the Blue Boy. This is the brand new one. And we didn't do any work on that one, so I'm going to just introduce it again, just to be reminded of what its deal is. I'll clip this part into the chat for everybody. But basically, the idea is that, well, let's read it. Wellington, the butler of Mrs. Alma Stackpole, the owner of the El Paso Tin Smelting and Mining Company, comes to the Vigilance Committee with an interesting story. His employer, Mrs. Stackpole, famously obsessed with Thomas Gainsborough's The Blue Boy, believes she is being regularly visited by the ghost of the Blue Boy himself. In fact, Wellington has seen the ghostly boy with his own eyes, and while he is happy for his employer's spectrally induced joy, he is concerned because she has been spending huge sums of money buying the ghost gifts and making sure it lives in the luxury and comfort it was accustomed to in life. We use some establishing questions to establish that the Vigilance Committee has an inkling that the Blue Boy is a hoax, that this is not an actual ghost, but we also have an inkling that the Blue Boy might be a ghost. And so you do have this threshold question of, is the Blue Boy ghost real or is it a hoax? Alma Stackpole is a financial pillar of El Paso. Many people in this region depend on her for their livelihood. And so for the financial health of the town, it's good that this be sorted out, even though the stakes are, in terms of life and limb, are fairly low, which is probably welcome given everything the town's been through lately. We do have a brand new hunter, Pamela Pickett, who we get to see maybe more in her fullness and not just defending the town today. And we have 3 returning hunters, all of whom are burdened quite heavily with conditions. Let's go around the table and figure out what everybody wants to do for this day phase. Who has a thought? I'll just go in order. I'll just go around the table. Slade, what are your thoughts for today?
I definitely like to do a vulnerable move, but I think narratively, I think Slade would like to visit Wyatt.
Oh, that's intriguing. I hadn't thought of that, but I think I can do that. Yeah. Love that. Pamela Pickett?
Well, I mean, again, I had put forth answering a question, and then, if anybody wants to, do a vulnerable move before working on something, that's fine, and then, possibly check out Ghost Be Gone after we answer the one question.
Yeah, I can give you some leads on Ghost Be Gone too that might be helpful. Sister Mary, what are your thoughts?
I would like to do a vulnerable move, possibly with Slade. I think that could be very interesting. Probably we'll have a chat with Travis at some point about his new responsibilities and what that means as a religious figure. And then, yeah, just kind of check on the rest of El Paso, see how everything's going. I think in that it's probably going to be more the hunt for the rebel gold investigating than one of the other mysteries, just because of being around El Paso, and clearly we have to get this dealt with.
Yeah, Memphis is like really, really close to the city now as far as being on that part of the river. Travis, both the spectral and corporeal health of El Paso is now on your shoulders. So what are you going to do today?
I think first things first is to make arrangements for Wyatt. Whether that's to do a kind of quick burial right now, or to leave him in the hands of the town mortician, or until such time as we can make time for an appropriate funeral. I'm not sure. I think probably the latter.
The funeral would probably be a good spot to do a vulnerable
I was thinking,
move.
yeah.
I'm guessing, assuming
Yeah,
all
so
of you
maybe
will
we
be
do
there.
jump to do it.
Yeah.
We do it real quick, and the funeral is the next day.
Yeah, I think that sounds good to me. Sister Mary, do you have any words to say over the grave of Wyatt Walker? Everyone is gathered at the cemetery, and Eli Shields, aka Jimmy Pike, is there, sort of like with having dug the hole. Is everyone at the funeral? Yeah, so Sister Mary, what do you think?
I think, strangely enough, Sister Mary does not go on and on for once about something, about religion and theology. Instead, she keeps it a little bit on the short and sweet side, because I think that's probably what Marshall Walker would have wanted. Not a big fuss made over him, but a lot of, I don't actually want to get into a eulogy, because I think I would feel awkward about that. So instead, I think she just talks a bit more about how what you do in life, what your actions are, is what matters in the long run, not just for your heavenly soul, but also for the impact that you make on the people around you. And the impact Marshall Walker had made on El Paso is never going to be forgotten. And the new Marshall Walker has some big shoes to fill.
Pamela, Dr. Clarkson is at the funeral. He is wearing his smart black striped suit and his gray top hat. And he walks up next to you and he says, quietly during the service, "I saw your wagon pull in the other day. Rather auspicious time to arrive here in El Paso."
She doesn't look at him, but she will say out of the corner of her mouth, "Yes. As for you too, I assume."
Well, I'm here because I have something these people need very much. My Ghost Begone is a tried and true repellent of those who cross over from the other side. I myself have found it rather odd how people previously put their faith in the Vigilance Committee when it came to the Wounded Knight. Though I
Is it
suppose
truly effective? I heard that many people died bringing your little trick to a ghostly visitation.
Of course, people say things all the time, don't they, ma'am? They like to slander, as I'm sure you well know. What sort of business does your wagon purvey in, if you don't mind my asking?
You can read, I assume, Dr.
No, I haven't had a
Clarkson.
chance to go out there and look yet, ma'am.
It's a casino for busy working folks. All the folks that seem to be here in El Paso.
Interesting, interesting. Sounds like something for the person who is truly, truly addicted to gambling. I mean, why bother with going into the Rio Grande Saloon or the Golden Nugget and spending all that money on booze and dance hall girls and food in order to play cards when you can just go and get that hit quick, no fuss? There's a certain logic to it.
Everyone has got free will, don't they, Dr. Clarkson?
Yes, they do indeed. And I'm certain that your roulette wheel is perfectly level and that your playing cards contain all the appropriate counts. Yes.
Absolutely. Just like your Ghost Be Gone contains all the right materials and all the correct ingredients.
Secret formula, secret formula. I wish you all the best. And
I wish I could say the same.
mark suspicion. Slade, what are you getting up to during the funeral, either immediately after or during?
I think during he would just sit quietly, probably in the back, but after, as all the parishioners are filing out, I think he would go and stand next to the coffin.
When you look down, you don't see Wyatt Walker. His coffin's probably not open, is it? Probably closed. I will say this. The coffin door lifts up and no one seems to notice. And inside is Del Sol. Well, you know him as the half man who was crawling in the tunnels during the siege. But here he looks quite whole, healthy, muscular, covered in sun tattoos. And he looks up at you and he says, "Do you have any parting words for the deceased friend?"
An apology.
Oh, yeah?
I was not there. I should have been.
He sort of considers you for a moment and says, "I will be sure to relay that to Mr. Walker when the time is right."
Slade will kind of narrow his eyes and look down at him and just say, "What are you?"
And he smiles and he says, "I am you."
That'll prompt some thought, and Slade will just take some steps back, and I assume the lid will close itself.
Yeah. The sun is particularly high in the sky and hot this afternoon. Travis, what are you doing during the funeral?
I think Travis is very quiet. And I picture us at some point walking out to the graveyard, a little procession. I think Travis will be one of the coffin bearers. And he's not meeting anyone's eyes. He's not engaging with the people offering him condolences. And yeah, we come to the point where the grave has been dug and they lower the coffin in. I think Travis kneels beside it and drops in on top of the grave, pulled from his pocket a kind of dog-eared adventure novel about a sheriff or a marshal.
That's a good entree for Sister Mary. If you want to have a little scene, Sister Mary, especially a vulnerable moon scene.
Sister Mary comes up next to Travis and scoops up some of the dirt next to the grave in her hand and spreads it on top of the coffin. Well, Marshal Walker, I imagine you're feeling the weight of the world on you right now.
I don't know. I don't rightly know what I'm feeling right now, Sister Mary.
Well, not to try and interrupt your grieving process. Grief is complicated, etc. But you are now responsible, even more than before, even before when you were just part of the Vigilance Committee, for the safety of this town. So wallowing in your grief is not going to do anyone good, not even you.
I don't intend to do no wallowing.
Okay. Good. Are you sure?
And he looks up and meets her eye with a kind of serious look and says, "Yep, I'm sure."
Because what I said at your brother's funeral about your actions being important, that's even more true for people in power, people like you.
Or like you, Sister Mary.
Of course. My actions are always important. I'm the religious steward of El Paso. I'm responsible for everyone's soul here. You're responsible for their safety.
And I'm going to get right to that once my brother's in the ground.
That feels like a good cut. If we were doing the vulnerable move, I think it's triggered by I think the vice is satisfied by the book. But do you think you've cleared a condition, either of you?
I was trying to go for my condition of guilty,
I
where
can see that.
trying
yeah.
to really act on you know what, I am responsible. I have to accept my guilt where responsibility lies and such.
Yeah, I'm into that. What do you think, Travis?
Yeah, I mean, confused and grief-stricken is a new condition, so I don't think I really want to clear that just yet because I haven't had an opportunity to explore it.
I don't think you really have cleared it either. So,
No, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think I think Travis will deal with those two conditions.
You do get the bonus though. You can stumble on a clue, or you can invite Sister Mary to ask you a question about the past.
I'll invite the question.
Think on the question, Sister Mary. Slade, Pamela Pickett is there. Pamela played a critical role in the defense of the town, and you also know that Pamela is the new fourth member of the Vigilance Committee. Maybe the two of you can get a vulnerable move going.
I mean, if it's sometime a little after the funeral, I guess we could do your vice or my vice even. I mean, either way.
What is yours, Pamela?
Talking to my mules.
Oh, yeah. I'll let the two of you decide.
Does the Vigilance Committee have like a meeting place? A regular?
It's usually been the marshal's office, yeah, but I don't think it's official.
Maybe Slade is there continuing a chess game that never finished.
I can imagine dropping by. That's like Pamela dropping by and just I guess coming to see and check in to see who's here. Now that now that Wyatt isn't.
I will tell you that you see Slade, and there's also somebody in the drunk tank.
She'll come to the door and she'll knock, at least. Anyone here?
Yes.
You are Mr. Slade, I think.
I am.
The marshal had told me that you were part of the committee. I'm Pamela Pickett. I'm, I guess, new to town. For now.
And new to the committee.
Yes. What is that you play there?
Chess. Do you play?
I know of the game. Mind if I sit in?
And I think Slade will kind of consider it for a long moment before kind of hesitantly resetting the board that Wyatt had lost his last move.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
You didn't. I have no opponent. Sit.
And she does. Who moves first?
I will allow you.
She considers the board a little bit. And as she's slowly moving like a piece here and there, she'll say, "Did you ever wonder about the Queen?
No.
How it seems to be able to move every way for every piece, except for one.
It is simply how it is. What is there to wonder?
The piece that she cannot move like is the knight. One wonders whether it's because the knight's move is so noble, or because the Queen doesn't want to get her hands dirty.
Or because the knight is willing to go to lengths the Queen would not.
And she moves her pieces accordingly.
You have arrived at a difficult time in our town.
So I assume. One of the problems being a Dr. Clarkson, I assume.
One of many. He is a fraud.
Oh, I know. I unfortunately have run into some like him before.
Because of him, many have died. He will pay.
I concur with that.
I suspect we may get along.
It's all business, right?
No, but enough is.
That's
Check.
fabulous. Good. Slade, well, first of all, do you think you cleared a condition, Slade?
This may have re-energized him a little.
I'll take that. And you get the bonus too.
I think I'll take a clue.
Go ahead and think on your clue. Sister Mary, you got your question for Travis?
Marshal Walker, I don't want you to think that what I'm saying here means that I don't believe that you will be a good leader. Quite the contrary. I have faith in you. However, I do wonder, and forgive my curiosity, what sort of leader did your brother hope you would be?
Well, he spoke to me about that a few times. I think above all, he hoped I would be a firm leader, someone who protected the people of this town who are afflicted by many trials. And that's what I aim to do, Sister Mary. I ain't gonna pussyfoot around with no nonsense. Gonna make sure people in this town can sleep safe at night.
Good. Slade, do you have your clue you thought of, or do you need another minute?
I think I need another minute.
Okay, we'll just get that whenever, it's fine. Which threat's it going to be for, though?
Yeah, I'm kind of bouncing between the Hunt for Rebel Gold and Ghost Begone.
Okay, I'll keep thinking then. Okay, well then, with all that said, Pamela Piggott, what do you want to do after you're done having your game with Slade?
Again, it's like I don't know whether we want to wait on answering a question or just kind of like jump right into it after Slade decides which thread it is.
So it's actually becoming like the sort of like not yet final rule set, but eventually final rule set is that answer questions always going to be during the dusk phase.
Okay,
So,
that's fine.
yeah,
That's fine.
yeah.
So then I'd like to look into the Ghost Begone to add more clues to that.
Yeah, sounds good. So let's talk about Ghost Begone. So you have a few clues already. You have 4, and we know a few things about this threat. So during the day, Dr. Clarkson's wagon is parked alongside a warehouse. Sister Mary has discovered that the warehouse, if I remember correctly, the warehouse has a distillery where a woman in the employ of Dr. Clarkson is presumably brewing up Ghost Begone, but it's a little unclear. There's lots of evidence that Ghost Begone is nothing. It's just like pure ineffective placebo. And we also have another sort of like thing that might be worth checking out is we know of a family a few nights ago that died from a ghost attack, or at least the father died, trying to use Ghost Begone as a defense. This is the Pryor family, and their homestead is just outside of town. We also have the sort of all the dead people who were clutching bottles of Ghost Begone, but those bodies have probably already been sorted out by this point. So
I'd like to visit with the family, the
yeah,
Pryors.
sounds good. Okay, let's talk about the Pryors. I think, you know, obviously, like so many people, they're grieving, right? And I think when you go to their door, I don't think the wife is named, but we'll name her Daisy Pryor. She comes to the door and she says, "Yes, hello. Did you travel out in your wagon or did you take a horse? Or did you take a mule, I suppose? Or walk?"
I mean, is it like close enough to walk? That's the
Yeah, it's
question.
close enough to walk. It'll take up a good part of your day, but yeah.
I think I'd like probably like rent out a horse or something like that because
Okay.
the mules are trained to protect the wagon.
Okay. So yeah, she says, "Can I help you?"
Yes, I'm Pamela Pickett. I am new to town, but I had heard about. I'm sorry to hear about the death of your husband.
About Avery. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it's true. And certainly Ghost Begone was no good.
I wanted to ask you about that, if you don't mind. I don't want to interrupt your day, or.
No, please come in. Can I make you a coffee or perhaps a sarsaparilla, something like that?
No, thank you. Again, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know this is difficult right now.
When you go in, you can see signs of the struggle between Avery and the ghost, signs that have not been rectified. Let's paint the scene, everyone. What are the signs of the struggle inside the Pryor home?
I think there's spots in various fabrics in this main room, like I don't know if there's rugs or cloths or anything kicking around that have been dyed slightly by the use of the ghost beacon. That sort of, I think it was a greenish, bluish greenish color. we
It is green,
determined.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Just from being splashed uselessly about the place.
I think if this ghost is very violent, I think we do see bloodstains where it tried to bash Avery into the walls.
Yeah, and there's also some splintering in kind of the woodwork of, a cabinet or something where it seems like a heavy weight has been shoved into it.
The bull skull that Avery had attempted to disguise himself with has been almost entirely shattered.
So she says, are you here with the state or something? Or, I mean, everyone around here knows what did Avery in, even if it's not the kind of thing that you can put down on a death certificate.
I know that he did his best to fight off this ghost, as I can see the signs, unfortunately.
His best would have been to put us all in a wagon and get the hell out of El Paso.
I am trying to investigate behind this fakery that he fell for.
Indeed,
I didn't-
indeed.
I didn't know if there was anything that you could let me know about. And just anything that I could start to build a case against Dr.
Well, there might be
Clarkson.
something in one of the rooms on our second floor upstairs. Well, it's more of a attic, I suppose. But the venerable Dr. Clarkson himself has stayed in that attic 6 years ago when he was on the run from the law.
He stayed with you during the last wounded night?
He did indeed. And he wasn't peddling Ghost Begone back then. Strange, huh?
What was he doing 6 years ago?
He says he was trying to not be found. Says that he kept making reference to a pesky child of his trying to find him. I didn't give it much thought. But he left some things up there. I've never taken the time to take them down.
If you don't mind, I'd like to take a little look.
And she says, okay. And she gets you a ladder so you can go up to that space.
Before Pamela heads up there, she asks her, "So, what will you and your family do now?"
I imagine I will become a desperate widow, haunted, literally and figuratively, by the death of my husband, and my children, no longer able to cope with my madness, will go east or further west and forget all about me.
Or you could make your life better here and work for
Possibly.
me.
Maybe.
Just a thought.
Just a thought. And the attic space awaits.
Yep.
It is very dark. She has not given you a lantern.
Are there any windows here that, I don't know.
There might be one single window up there that a single shaft of light cuts the darkness. But that only serves to make the shapes appear more looming. make the day move.
Sure.
What do you afraid is going to happen if you lose your nerve?
I mean, just gonna get lost up here and then not be able to find anything, for one, without a light.
Roll dice. Composure.
Hold on. Let's see. I think I lost what little I had. Yep. Fun. That is a 7.
We'll come back to this. Let's check in with. Let's check in with Travis. Travis, what do you do when you're done? Or actually, where do we leave you, Travis?
At the
funeral?
graveside.
Yeah. What do you do after the graveside?
I think head straight back to the marshal's office and, gather the remaining deputies.
Dudley is utterly bereft with grief. He has not been able to leave the room that he rents above the Rio Grande Saloon. In fact, anyone walking along San Francisco Street can, from time to time, hear Dudley's loud grief wails coming from his room. Lloyd's there, though. I think that's his name, right?
Yeah.
Lloyd
was the other one.
Lloyd says, well, I've got to hand it to you. Even though I myself have no interest whatsoever in being the marshal, or even a deputy for that matter, I am nevertheless the senior deputy, and I am older than you, and I think that perhaps the badge should have passed to me.
Is today really the time for this, Floyd?
I suppose not.
Now, first order of business, I need you to go fetch Dudley. If that man is to continue to be a deputy, he needs to be at his post.
Aye, aye. And he says, anything else while I'm out?
I would appreciate it if you would gather the remaining members of the Vigilance Committee so that we can decide on a course of action.
Well, I saw that Pamela Pickett leaving town earlier today, so I don't know if she'll be too easy to gather. But I think Mr. Slade and Sister Mary, well, they were just here.
Well, that's good then.
Or no, that's not right. I don't know where Sister Mary is, but Slade was just here.
Let's get everyone together. See if we can't tie up some of the loose ends of these things that have been going on. There's far too many unresolved situations that I mean to put a stop to.
There was a fella in the holding cell sleeping it off. I let him go. I hope that was okay.
Fella was that?
This is, funny thing. I didn't get his name. Huh. Maybe I'm not cut out to be the marshal after all.
You didn't get his name, but you let him go? What was he in there for?
He was just sleeping it off, Marshal. And he leaves. Word can get to the two of you quickly enough if you want to go meet Travis. I think that's fine. So let's have that scene.
Slade will arrive quite quickly, like maybe he was just waiting for a summons, and will enter the office and just say, Marshal.
Slade, it's good to see you.
I think Sister Mary is going to ignore the summons at first because she's got her own stuff to do. And of course, being the new marshal and everything, he's got good intentions. But Sister Mary is her own boss, and she's going to the she's going to the K&D Feed and Seed.
K&D Feed and Seed, yes, indeed. With one of the people that the gang wanted dead, August Kilkenny. He's there. And he says, Sister Mary, just picking up the pieces after those unfortunate events.
And I take it that you've come to no harm, Mr. Kilkenny?
No, I'm okay. I've been in worse scraps. I was in the war, you know. Well, you were too, I guess, weren't you?
Yes, well, I suppose, speaking of
Hard to
the
kill a
war,
couple of old goats like you and me, huh, Sister Mary?
and I think she doesn't really like Mr. Kilkenny, so she doesn't want to chat with him very much. But he seems the chatty sort.
Kind of his
Well,
job, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose it is. Well, speaking of the war, not to get to the point, but to get to the point, that reason I am here, this, do you recall seeing a very spooky scene where a Confederate soldier had
Yes.
waltzed on in here?
I've already given Mr. Slade a bag full of hands. Didn't that happen?
Correct. That
Yeah.
was that was totally what happened here.
Yeah.
Now, I would like to see where that bag of hands came from. There's some sort of
Certainly. As I told Mr. Slade, I saw that apparition or whatever it was crawl over here, and they looked like they were hiding something in the floorboards. And then when I lifted this floorboard right here, and you can see where the wood has been kind of sawed, you know, to be lifted. He says, I saw that bag. And I was too spooked out about that to look any further, I must confess.
I think Sister Mary just wants to kind of take a look at that hole, because why would a Confederate soldier come in here specifically and lift up that floorboard specifically? How would they know the floorboards are going to be loose there? That sort of thing.
It's an interesting question. Make the investigation move with reason.
That's a 10.
Awesome. We'll come back to that. Well, Slade showed up, Marshall.
First order of business, Mr. Slade. Lloyd, Dudley. As I believe we ought to take Dr. Clarkson into custody. And then we need to prepare ourselves for the arrival of this ship, this boat.
I concur.
It could be as serious business as that gang, if not worse. And we're already on a back foot.
Lloyd nods sagely. Dudley is kind of hanging to the back. He's been very quiet. His head's down.
Slade will look back at Dudley and then back at Travis and say, we have no need to worry about explosives, do we?
Seems to me it'd be prudent to always worry about explosives, Mr. Slade.
Then perhaps Dudley should remain.
He was such a good man.
Dudley, you need to get yourself together now.
He was a good man. He was like a brother to me, Marshal Walker.
God damn it. He was my actual brother. And you don't see me whimpering and moaning.
Well, I'm
Now-
sorry if I understand the concept of empathy, Marshall Walker. EMP, athy.
Well, maybe I don't rightly know what that means, but we have too much business to attend to for you to be weeping and complaining now.
Perhaps
If you want me to
Dudley,
relieve you of your duty, then I'll be happy to do that. Or you can toughen up and help us get ready.
He sits up a little more upright and takes a breath. And he says, all right, Marshall, I'm going to do my job. But I would like for the record to show that I am not a mechanical man. I'm not made of gears and springs. I do not have a heart shaped from clay. I am a man who feels, who grieves.
Duly noted, Dudley, duly noted.
perhaps Dudley could accompany me.
I think that'd be good for him, Mr. Slade, yes.
Where are we going?
To bring in Dr. Clarkson. I want that man off the street.
Oh, right. Well, I saw him going out earlier today, too. He was following Miss Pickett.
Following
we shall
her
catch
where?
up.
Well, wherever Miss Pickett was going. I don't know. Out of town. What do I look like? Well, never mind.
You look to me like a man whose job it is to go find out.
All right, then. Well, we'll just go in the direction I saw them going, then, Mr. Slade.
Yes. Come along.
Yes, I can tell this is going to be a very, very illuminating conversation along the way, Mr. Slade. Your powers of rhetoric are overwhelming.
I appreciate that, but I find it untrue.
He looks back and sighs. And as he's walking out, he says, "A man!" Lloyd says, "Well, what are we going to do then, Marshall?"
Well, that Confederate ship gonna be arriving here real soon. I think we need to figure out what we're gonna do about that.
Well, last I heard, if anybody who gets close to it, it starts firing its cannons, but it doesn't fire like actual cannonballs. It fires all sorts of strangeness and death. Nothing too surprising, I suppose. But I think during the day, it's just a bunch of wreckage. I'm not sure if anyone's approached it during the day.
Why don't you and I give that a try then? Maybe we can find Sister Mary on the way.
Possibly, possibly. And we'll take a 5-minute break. Pamela, you got a 7 to 9 on your day move, and I have to tell you how you'll be vulnerable, and you can decide whether you want to keep going with this course of action or not.
Sure.
You're going to take a condition regardless, probably unnerved or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But also, Mrs. Pryor is going to lock you in the attic. If you're okay with that, you can keep going into the attic. Otherwise, you can back out. Yeah, if you're okay with that, you can certainly keep going.
Did anybody? Well, first off, does the Ghost Be Gone have a mask associated with it?
It is not. No.
Oh, okay. All right.
You can always mark a giant's mask, of course.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, yes, let me not be locked in.
Sounds good.
So
You can mark Janet's mask. I'm still giving you the unnerved condition just for
Sure.
moving into the space, but you'll otherwise we'll keep it together. Once you're up there, what do you do?
I think she'll reach into her sleeve and then, like, pull out like matches or something to light, to provide some light, and yeah, she'll investigate. She'll kind of poke around and see what's here.
Go ahead and make the information move with vitality, actually, and at disadvantage.
Okay, fun. Ooh, even better. All right, so that is a 3.
Mrs. Pryor has let someone in downstairs. You can overhear a very, very faint conversation between whoever this person is and Mrs. Pryor. Mrs. Pryor says, you missed the first bit, but you just hear her say, she's upstairs, up in the attic. And you hear the other person say, so are you feeling completely bereaved, my dear? And she says, oh yes, absolutely heartbroken. And then you can hear the distinct, unmistakable sounds of them kissing. What do you do?
Besides cursing under her breath, she is going to... Oh, let me just see something. What have we got here? So she didn't lock me in, but like they're downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly. Okay. And there's no other exit from here, right? I mean, like the window's probably too small.
I mean, you could probably get through it if you had to, but you'd tumble down to the ground from the second story, unless you have some other tools at hand.
I kind of do.
Fair enough.
I want to use a small pry bar from my Tuscaloosa toolbox.
I will say this, just to keep it interesting.
Yeah.
Sister Mary, would you have met Slade and Dudley out in the street?
Of course.
And would you have then joined them out towards the Pryor homestead?
Probably after whatever happens at the K and D feed store. I always forget the initials.
You get a clue, yeah, which I'll give you in a bit. But
yeah, I think I would join them. Yeah.
Okay, then in that case, I will tell you that, Pamela, as you're looking out the window, you see 3 people coming up the road as well towards the homestead. There's a tentativeness. They stop as if they're examining the situation. And indeed, Lloyd says, well, that looks like the horse that Miss Pickett was on right over there, tied up to the post in front of the Pryor homestead. She must have been gone to asking about Avery. There's another horse there, too. Wonder if that's Mr. Clarkson. Sorry, Dr. Clarkson. I'm sure he didn't go to traveling salesman school to be called Mr.
Your help has been invaluable, Lloyd. Or Dudley.
Is it Dudley or Lloyd? Can't remember anymore. Oh, it's Dudley. I think it's
Dudley went.
Yeah, it's
Dudley
Dudley.
went Slade.
Yeah, it's Dudley. Yeah, it's Dudley says that. Yeah. Let me give you the clue as well for the hunt for rebel gold. Sister Mary, something that you would have found there's a key pressed into the dirt as well. The key has vibrant feathers tied to the bow, which is like the little round part. A funny thing, but otherwise you saw nothing. But that's definitely something, but nothing else of great interest.
I think we can assume I take the key with me.
Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, Slade, Sister Mary, you're there at the Pryor homestead. That's probably where Pamela is, and probably where Dr. Clarkson is as well. Pamela, you will see that group kind of coming up, and you'll eventually make out probably Sister Mary. I'm sure she stands out at a distance.
Yeah, for funsies, because why the hell not? I'm going to use the pry bar to get the hell out of the attic.
Sounds good. I would like the day move. What do you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
Oh, well. I'm afraid that I will get out, but I will get hurt on the way out as I'm trying to get out of this attic.
Sounds good. Go ahead and roll with vitality. And disadvantage again.
Can I, well, because...
Oh, yeah, you can level it out with the pry
yeah,
bar. Yeah,
so... Not that it helps any, but okay. Okay, so that is a 10.
Oh. Slade, you'll be the first to notice that someone is coming out of the little window on the second attic floor of the building.
Slade will kind of tilt his head at it and say, I believe that is our newest member. Our door's not the traditional point of egress.
Grief does terrible things to people, Mr. Slade.
I think
I
Sister Mary
see.
definitely kind of side eyes Slade with that. Do I know that I haven't actually like officially met any of the priors, but can I use confession anyway?
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's always, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Mrs. Pryor?
Actually, I think in this case, because they have kids, right? If I
They do,
recall the
yeah.
unseen. Because Mrs. Pryor doesn't really, it depends, clearly she's up to something sketchy, and I don't think she would confess it to randos, and definitely not to me. But I think little kids are much more likely to confess stuff.
I think the little kids, even though they don't really know how to like conceptualize it, verbalize it properly, make it very clear that she's been seeing someone on the side.
Mr. Slade, I have some suspicions about our good neighbor, Mrs. Pryor.
Of what sort?
Well, the nature of her husband's death. And I have sort of a theory, I suppose, that you are, well, a little more in tune with deathly things than I am, so to speak.
I think at this, the horse will turn to look at Sister Mary just momentarily.
I'm gonna look at Horse like I'm watching you. I don't know if you're a demon or not, but I'm watching you.
I like the idea of Horse just keeps like moving his snout over to Dudley and just like going.
Oh no.
I love Horse.
I'm going to cut over to Travis Walker. The Memphis during the day. Cracked bulkheads, collapsed decks, sails in tatters, rusted and frayed rigging. you and Lloyd are clambering over the wreckage, which always ends up a little further down the river each day. And to paint the scene, everyone, what subtle signs, even in the day, confirm this is a ghost ship?
I don't think it casts a reflection upon the water in the river.
It lists off at an unnatural angle.
Not only does it not cast a reflection on the river, there's no ripple, no wake. It's just there.
There's also no sound when you're in the ship. You can't hear, the birds or the water or the wind around the ship.
Lloyd has lifted up one of the deck hatches and he says, well, I guess we're going down in, huh, Marshall?
I reckon it's our job, Lloyd. Let's go see what we can find.
As you're going down in, he says, Marshall, it's kind of a funny thing, actually. I've been meaning to bring it up to you. But I've been having funny dreams.
Lloyd, I thought you was the reliable deputy.
Well,
That's the kind of
everyone's
comment
having
I expect from Dudley.
everyone's having dreams, Marshall, dreams of gold. I know you've been having them too. But my dreams of gold aren't just about, gold. I've been dreaming about a lady in gold.
And with that, Travis suddenly, goes very still. What she looked like, this lady in gold.
Well, she's radiant. She's beatific, like a saint or an angel. She keeps trying to press something into my hand in the dream. Cold iron that wants to be hot. The dream always ends the same way, Travis. The dream always ends with me putting the marshal's badge on my shirt.
Now, Lloyd, that don't sound like the kind of dream you should be paying too much mind to.
Yeah, maybe not. I suppose not.
Certainly not the kind of dream you should be listening to, taking advice from.
No, it's silly. It's just a dream. Why would I do that?
Well, we've seen some strange things. And if any radiant golden ladies try and convince you to do anything, my advice, Lloyd, is to turn and run like hell in the other direction.
Let's cut back over to the Pryor homestead. Pamela, you can have shimmied your way out, and you can meet the group if you wish.
I do. I basically push myself out the window head first, and then do like whatever manageable parkour type of thing that she can,
Yeah.
and then she will shimmy up the road and then just kind of like dust herself off. And well, that was rather edifying. Looks like Miss Pryor is dealing with Dr. Clarkson in a not so widow-like way. Let's put it that way.
You can all have this as a clue too. Capital C clue. Dr. Clarkson having an affair with Daisy Pryor.
Then we shall arrest the both of them.
Well, Slade, Mr. Slade, I don't think having an extramarital affair is a crime, especially when, well, Avery Pryor's dead.
But what if they had something to do with Avery Pryor's murder? That
I
puts a
believe
little
that
different
is a
spin on it.
crime.
Yes.
He says, well, now this is very, very sinister talk.
There is a lot of sinister goings on here, Mr. Wainwright. Excuse me, Deputy.
He says, Ms. Pickett, is that your seasoned opinion as somebody who's been in town for a very long time?
Oh, I didn't know being in town had something to do with being law-abiding or law-keeping.
Well, Sister Mary, what do you think? Do you really think Daisy Pryor might have had something to do with her husband's death?
I think it's probably not going to hurt anyone if we bring her in for questioning. I mean, you have that ability, and it's better to be safe than sorry.
Consider it Vigilance Committee prerogative.
And I
Yes,
believe
well,
Dr. Clarkson is there too.
Yes, well, all right, all right. You three just stay here. This is a matter for the law. And he marches up to the front and knocks on the door.
I don't think we should leave him by himself.
Slade's already following.
So, Sister Mary.
Pamela will follow.
He turns and he says, I've got this. I am a man.
I told the marshal I would accompany you.
And
He
we are
knocks again.
witnesses. We are witnesses to the action to make sure that everything is above board, Deputy.
All right, all right. And she opens the door. She says, Deputy Wainwright. They have a little chit chat. And she says, please come in. And she invites him in. And she looks at you, especially Pamela, and is like kind of realizing that something is going on. And she says, your little posse can wait outside. And she closes the door.
I think we
Can-
need to go in.
Yeah, can Slade have stuck his boot in the door before it closed?
Yes, I want the day move. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
He's already got a twisted ankle. He could fall back and just break a leg.
Possibly. Go ahead and roll with vitality at disadvantage.
Uh, 6.
Yeah. You go to put your foot in the door, and yeah, you just like this imperfect vessel. It slams against your leg, and you weren't ready for the pain, basically, and you fall back and twist, and we hear a pop on your knee as you land hard. And Daisy just kind of, when she realizes that you have two companions who can look after you, she just kind of smirks, closes the door again.
Slade will look down at his leg and go, this is, assistance, please.
Pamela will rush forward and try to offer you a shoulder to lean on.
Take the condition knee popped from socket. Sister Mary, Pamela, the situation is getting really out of hand quite suddenly. Sister Mary and Pamela, what are you doing?
I'm gonna step over poor Mr. Slade. I have full faith that he's going to be okay because I saw some weird stuff with him and his horse. And I'm going to step over him and I'm going to open the door and see if I can hopefully go inside. Hopefully it's not locked.
She's locked it.
Of course she has. Is there a back door?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm going to go around and go to the back door.
I think when you get around to the back, you see Dr. Clarkson going out the back. He says, "Oh, Sister Mary, how charming to see you here right now."
Yes, the timing is very fortuitous.
Yes,
You-
yes. I'm an old friend of the Prior's. When I heard about what happened to poor Avery, I had to come pay my respects. So much tragedy as of late in the town. It almost makes you wonder why the town of El Paso doesn't have some sort of organization, like a committee or something, that can protect the town from all these terrible events.
If only that sort of thing existed. In fact, we have Deputy Wainwright just inside, and I think he would like to talk to you about this.
I did see Deputy Wainwright, and I have to tell you, Sister Mary, he's slipping a bottle into his pocket. He seemed a little out of sorts. He tips his gray top hat to you. I hope you have a fine afternoon.
I know Sister Mary knows that she can't really take down Dr. Clarkson on her own. So I think
You
she's
hear
gonna go
from the
inside the house.
inside, from the inside of the house, you hear Dudley. "I can feel. Do you hear me? I'm a man with emotions, with feelings. Sometimes I'm sad. Sometimes I'm scared. And there's nothing wrong with that, Mrs. Pryor. Or is it just Ms. Pryor now? Or are you going by your maiden name now? I don't really know how a lot of this works."
Sister Mary sighs, nods to Dr. Clarkson as he's on his way. I'm sure this won't be the last we'll see of each other today.
"I imagine not." And he goes on. Goes
And-
round to get his horse.
Sister Mary goes inside.
Pamela, I assume you're dealing with Mr. Slade.
I am. And just.
You'll see
kind of-
Dr. Clarkson right off.
Yeah, she swears under her breath. It's like, of course. He's trying to stay one step ahead of us.
Take my horse.
What?
My horse.
Now, does the horse look really weird? Because, I mean,
Horse just, when it's not being ridden, it just stands stock still and stares at one point, like on the wall.
okay. Is it, I mean, Pamela will look at horse and just, will your horse let me ride?
Yes.
Okay.
When you approach horse, it's like,
And she just kind of slowly turns back to Slade and, is everything all right with your horse?
Yes.
And will you be all right? I want to chase after Dr. Clarkson right now.
I will manage. Go.
Okay. And she'll pop on horse and ride.
I think it's a night move to ride horse if you're
Sure.
not the inevitable.
Sure.
What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
Well, I mean, horse isn't going to let me ride him and something bad will happen because I'm on him.
It's
So,
worse than that. Horse will ride you into the realm beyond the mortal
Fabulous.
coil.
Wow. Okay, great.
It's sensitivity. It's
Okay.
at disadvantage because of your condition.
All right, hold on. Let me see. Okay. And none for there. Do I have anything I can use in my quarters? Hold on. Nothing I can think of off the top of my head. All right. Disadvantage. Okay, that's still a 7.
All right. Travis Walker, you are down in the hold of the ship. Lloyd is looking around, and there's like, the deck above has got holes in it and stuff. And he's standing in a really, really golden shaft of sunlight. He turns to look at you and he says, "Well, I don't know, Marshall. I don't see anything down here. Just you and me. And your badge."
You reckon we can find some way to sink this thing? You reckon that'll work?
Maybe we should stay here, figure it out.
Now, Lloyd, you got some odd ideas in your head.
Don't worry about me, Marshall. I'm just a little spooked by this place, that's all. But it'll be sundown before you know it. It's always sundown before you know it.
We'd best be out of here before it is. So hop to it now. Let's look around here. We got to figure something out.
He says, "Hey, hold on a second. What's this?" And he goes and he opens up another hatch going to a lower level. He says, "I'll be back in just a moment, Marshall. I'm going to see what's down here. Can't be much, given the state of this thing." And he kind of crawls down into that hatch. And he closes the hatch behind him. What do you do?
Travis will step over to the hatch and open it back up again and look down there. Calling out, "Lloyd, I don't think we should split up now."
You see a pair of eyes staring back up at you. They are eyes that are like liquid gold, glowing yellow and bright. Make the night move. What are you afraid is going to happen if you lose your nerve?
Lloyd is going to take my place as the favored champion of the woman in gold.
And just because I want to get your condition in here, the voice of whatever's staring at you says, it's Wyatt's voice. "You're doing an excellent job, brother. First day on the job." Roll composure at disadvantage.
Let's see if I can.
What are you afraid is going to
manipulate
happen if you fail again?
I think that, Lloyd is obviously being drawn into the lady in gold's orbit, and that, she's going to set me aside for Lloyd.
It's worse than that. It's worse than that. Because the lady in gold you'll not give me you'll just be dead as well. So
Mhm.
Keep it simple.
wondering if I can mark salvation as a way to even out the roll here. Just that, you know, Travis draws it and he's holding it up as a symbol of his, you know, position as the you know, the favored of the lady in gold.
I'll take it.
I rolled a 4.
I think we see you descending down into this lower level, but you're not taking the ladder. You're just sort of floating down into this lower level. And these blazing gold eyes start to take on form. It is the lady in gold. And Wyatt and Lloyd, and maybe even some of your prior kills, they're all on their knees looking up at her. It has the appearance of a sort of Renaissance era painting, right? Bathed in gold light. And you just find yourself moving salvation over to your own temple. And we fade to black as we hear a gunshot coming from deep within the Memphis. Unless you intend to mark a Janus mask.
I believe I will.
Good. We'll cut over to Pamela Pickett. Pamela, riding a horse is a deeply disturbing proposition. It doesn't even move like a horse. It moves like someone's misunderstood idea of a horse, if that makes sense. It has a
bound instead of gallop.
Yeah, and it has like almost a sort of like there's a halting sort of mechanical feel to the gallop, to its movements. It doesn't even seem like it should be making pace because the movements of the legs are so strange, and there's no rhythm or God engineered animal mechanism to it. It's just awkwardly moving legs and moving fast. It also doesn't feel like it has any weight underneath your legs. It's like you're riding on air. And it periodically just looks back at you while it's still running forward with its dead, glassy eyes, and just makes sort of like noises. It doesn't neigh or whinny. How does it make you feel?
She, well, having passed through on the last wounded night, she's not quite surprised. And all she does is look at the horse and say, "I don't care how you move. Just get me to that." And then she swears and slurs Dr. Clarkson. So.
Take the condition. How shall I call it? Take the condition I'll think on it for a moment. I know what I want this to be, but I'm having a hard time verbalizing it. Take the condition hollow. But you are able to catch up to Dr. Clarkson quite expeditiously. You get caught to him pretty quickly. He looks back quite surprised. He sees the terrible horse that you're riding on, and he looks up at you and he smiles and he winks. And for just a brief moment, when he winks, you see Mr. Perdition's eyes in that wink. Winks just like Mr. Perdition winks. Make the day move. What do you afraid is going to happen if you lose your nerve?
She's going to lose him. I mean, that's the most basic thing I can think of.
Roll with composure. At disadvantage.
Two.
He winks and he goes, "Mwah," and he's just gone. Horse stops, and not like, it's not the kind of like, I have to control my momentum and then stop because I'm a horse. It's just stops. And it's just staring straight ahead. And then it just like awkwardly turns to go back to the homestead.
Damn it.
It turns like doing a 3-point turn in your car.
Mm-hmm. What are you doing? I mean, she's not even like holding on to it, and she's just like kind of using her legs to just stay on, but she's like, what is this?
Meanwhile, Sister Mary, do you go inside through the back door?
Yeah.
They gave Dudley something, but he's loopy he's high as a kite right now, just completely loopy.
Yeah.
And Daisy Pryor looks at you and she says, I take it you've come to collect him.
Sister Mary gives Daisy a dirty look. Yes, clearly.
And she says, well, I'll help you get him out. How is poor Mr. Slade doing? Seems like he hurt himself earlier.
You know, Mrs. Pryor, woman to woman, we could really cut the niceties, you know?
Oh,
One thing about being in the Vigilance Committee is that we're vigilant. And certain things, well, certain things are obvious to us, even if there's not a lot we can do about it regarding the law.
I see. Very interesting. Thank you. Now, if you'll put your arm under his, we can get him out of here.
I think Sister Mary does kind of scoop Dudley up a bit. Well, Mrs. Pryor, I'm sure we will be in contact again.
Yes, I imagine you will. Come along, Dudley. And he's like, a man.
Yes, of course, Dudley. You're doing
A
very good.
man.
You're a very strong man. Big
Sister
feelings.
Mary.
Very good. Come along.
Sister Mary, do you know the story? The story of the Titan that gave man the gift of fire.
No, Dudley. What's this story?
He gave man the gift of fire so that man would have intelligence and passion, creativity, virility. I hold the fire of Prometheus in my heart, Sister Mary.
Of course you do, Dudley. Now come along.
Indeed. Slade, how are you doing right now, having received exemplary medical attention from the rest of the group?
I think Slade will have helped himself to the nearest kind of vertical structure that he can reach and hauled himself to his feet and is leaning against it, waiting. And when Sister Mary approaches with Dudley, he'll say, "If this were night, I would break the door down. Did you threaten her children?"
Who are you saying that to?
Sister Mary.
Did I threaten? Excuse me? Mr. Slade.
Yes.
You know, I was going to say you've known me a really long time, and when have I ever threatened children? But you haven't known me a really long time, have you? Rest
No.
assured, I would not threaten children unless they really deserved the threatening.
Not to the children, to the mother. I understand it makes parents pliable.
I'm not interested in threatening a mother about her children.
Perhaps this is why so little gets done.
Mr. Slade, do you want help with your leg or not?
Thank you.
You
And
will
I think
see
I'm just going to prop Dudley up on the same vertical structure and then try to splint up for Mr. Slade's leg.
You will see Pamela Pickett moving back toward you on horse. It's a little bit like watching a flip book animation. Strange movements of horse. Travis Walker, you got a success. You're keeping it together. When you get down there, the golden eyes disappear. I am going to give you a condition called Eyes of Gold. But you just hear Lloyd down there. He says, well, there's not too much to look around at down here. First of all, I didn't bring a lantern. And second of all, well, this is where a lot of the damage is on the boat.
Something tells me, Lloyd, that there's enough holes in this boat already that us adding a few more ain't going to stop it moving toward us.
Fair enough, fair enough. And he starts like kind of kicking at some of the bulkhead, trying to make more, get some light in. He says, probably if we kick about here, we'll be good. Sun is getting low in the sky after all.
Yep. Let's see if we can't just get enough light to take a look around and then we get out of here.
You can go into the information move with reason.
Oh, a 10.
Fantastic. Let me give you a clue, and then I think that'll wrap the day phase. This is for Hunt for Rebel Gold. Oh, let me take a look at the current clues you have. I don't want to duplicate any of them. You find a journal. Lloyd finds a journal. He's flipping through it. He says, I've read enough dime novels to know that when you find a journal, Marshall, you always go to the last few pages to see what's really going on. He goes to the last few pages. He says, kind of holding it up to the little bit of light that you've made. He says, I'll read this out, Travis. You can read, can't you? Or can you? I don't remember. Anyway. Hope so, since you're the marshal and all.
I can read well enough.
Yeah. Looks like the Memphis was plunged into murder and madness in its last days, Marshal. Friends killing friends.
Why am I not surprised?
You want to hold on to this?
I think that may be best.
And that'll conclude the day phase. Taking a look at our phase tracker here. Going over to the dusk. Okay, do we have any playbook moves that need to be resolved in the dusk? Okay, then in that case, let's talk about El Paso. Let's paint the scene a little bit here. See what we got. What do we have? What have we done? Okay. Let's do art in the Wounded Knight. I will clip that, drop it here for you. It reads, lovers always prepare and share poems, sketches, love letters, and other creations, even during the Wounded Knight. Given the opportunity to examine all of it, what strange through lines and motifs might an observer take note of?
While outside of the Wounded Knight, you might see a lot of different poems and drawings and whatnot of people, lovers, you know, in the moonlight, in the nighttime. There's really not a lot of talk about nighttime or darkness, or even like meeting up in the secret place at nighttime. Nothing like that is happening in the art and poems and such during the Wounded Knight. It's all taking place during the day.
One thing you will notice is blood. Whether it's depiction of wounds or metaphors in the poetry to do with, the heart and the flow of blood through the body, or all kinds of allusions to redness and viscousness and suggestions of bleeding and injury.
You wouldn't know from all of the poetry separately, but if you were to compile all of the poems written, they are all speaking of a mysterious and beautiful lady in gold.
There's a through line of wounds cutting deep, whether it be visual or through words, just this sense of depth and scarring.
Let's go now to answer a question. Does anybody want to answer a question?
Yes.
Which threat, which question?
I want to hunt for rebel gold.
Okay, love that. And where's the missing gold then? What's your theory?
My theory is that it's... Okay, hold on. Let's see. So, the crawls, I mean, just taking the clues as is, because I mean, like, don't remember all the details of like where things were found, but the crawl space beneath the church, not currently accessible, just kind of like with the imprint of the quail on the side of the old church for the Aztec symbol of Zipitotec. The rings that are found depicting Zipitotec has to do with the agriculture and obviously the gold. And so I think the bag in the feed store full of amputated hands has to do with the people that were trying to get at the gold, like the Confederate soldiers that were trying to get at the gold, which was rightfully, coming from the Aztecs. And anybody with the Aztec eagle ring weren't the original owners. These were people that had stolen the rings off of the people that originally wore them. That's why Cletus Skaggs has one. And then one of the Confederate soldiers, I mean, like, maybe like one of the spirits that's not protecting the gold, but I mean, like, like on the trail of it, or actually, like, it could have been just as easily one of the rurales, like flaying like one of the Confederate soldiers as like, no, this is not your gold, this is ours. And then key to the vibrant feathers, again, like the feathers indicate like the Aztecs. And then the Memphis plunged into murder and madness. Again, gold fever driving them all to fight over the gold and fight over the dreams of gold, in their gold fever to hunt it down, basically.
Well, let's back up. Where is the gold?
Gold's at the church in that crawl space, like that nobody can really access.
Okay, we have access to it, right? Last time, because
okay.
Slade, that's where Slade and Del Sol were. Slade cleared that tunnel, and so it's reasonable that it's down there, though, because it was a whole like little cave system down there, right? So that makes sense. Yeah. Just want to be clear on that point. So it's in those tunnels. Okay, I like that. That's a good theory. And we're thinking that these were tunnels that belonged to the Aztecs at some point, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And so that these tunnels were used by Aztecs and they hid the gold down there somewhere. And both the rurales and the Confederates were kind of obsessed with the idea, right? Is that the idea?
Yes.
So what was the thing with the hands again?
The hands is like, okay, so it looks like, if I'm reading this correctly, one of the men on the stagecoach jumped from the vehicle and then had the black bag full of hands. That's what I'm guessing.
That's correct, yeah.
All right. So then basically that's one of the Confederate soldiers searching for the gold, and the amputated hands are from the protectors, the original protectors of the gold, and it has to do with those that wear the Aztec ring of Zipitotec.
Right.
So again, Cletus has one of those rings. One of the hands had one of those rings. It's like between that and the key with the feathers on it, it's like the ability to get at the gold. It's like you need these things.
Got it.
Yeah.
So taking a look at the clues, the rings just generally speak to the idea that you have to have the rings to get at the gold. Okay, I like that. And then the hands were the Confederates' attempts to find the rings, basically, to get the rings. Is that the idea?
Yeah.
They were cutting people's hands off?
Yeah.
Intriguing.
And I think the Confederate soldier found flayed outside of the city is kind of like a collateral damage thing of like the protectors or the guardians, living guardians, not like a ghostly guardian, but one of those, like maybe one of the rurales or whatever had, come upon one of the Confederate soldiers and said, okay, this is our retaliation for you, like murdering all of our people that
I mean, you can save some of these clues for the next question as well, right?
True. Okay.
These don't all have to be used here.
Okay.
Who wants to
2,
sort
3,
of
4, 5. Yeah, 5.
There's also a suggestion of them kind of turning on each other. I think this is probably something we can save
Okay.
later, but the idea that some of the Confederates were turning on each other and, you know, trying to race each other to the gold, that they started doing it as a, you know, as an expedition together, but they, you know, greed took over, sent them mad.
Yeah, I just don't, it's a good clue. I just don't think it speaks to like where is the gold, right?
Okay.
Like the basic question is just like where is the gold, right?
Okay. So we've got the
and
5
like
clues.
yeah, so like sticking to like where is the gold, the the most direct clue is the crawl space beneath the church, which and I think we can probably say that the okay, so the crawl space beneath the church, I think the depiction of the Xipe Totec on the side of the church is probably connected to that as well, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then these rings they feel like a really important part of this because the rings have that same depiction of Xipe Totec.
Yeah.
So I think we just need to like make the answer a little bit more salient here to incorporate the rings. Like,
Okay.
what do the rings do to give you access to the gold in the caves? That's what we need to answer.
Well, the rings are partially a hint as to where the gold is. Without the rings, you don't know the symbol. Without the symbol, you don't know the location. You need the
Maybe-
location is marked.
Yeah, like combining the rings, you need all of them to make some kind of key that leads you to the right spot.
I like that
something
idea.
that.
Like it's a there's like a magical, almost like a
Yeah, so
Indiana
you-
Jones thing going on here, right?
Yeah.
Like,
You have to kind of collect them all. You can't
Right.
just have one ring. You won't have the full information. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it has to do like because otherwise like all the people down in the tunnels during the siege might have just found the gold, right?
Right,
You know, like
exactly.
inadvertently, right? So
But they couldn't have because they didn't have the rings.
because didn't have the
Yeah.
rings, right? Exactly. So the rings are part of that. I like okay, so that is making the ring clues more salient to me.
Okay.
I am curious about the amputated hands. One we know one had the ring, and that's interesting. Why was the Confederate soldiers so determined to hide them? Like that feels like an interesting question to ask. Like what were they hoping to
I
accomplish
I
by
think this
that?
kind of ties into the Memphis being plunged into murder and madness. They were
right.
turning on each other. He wanted
They were
this
hiding
one.
it from each other.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
He knew that one of these rings in this bag, or one of these hands in this bag, has a ring on it, and don't have time to sort through. So I'm just gonna take this
Go get
bag
it
and
later.
run.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, I like that. That's 5.
And the question's 4, right? So
Yeah, the question is for I think the murder and madness thing, we can say that the journal page makes reference to this as well, right? Makes reference to the getting the rings and like that being like the sort of like locus of the paranoia and turning on each other.
okay.
Which puts it at a +2, which is not a bad roll, to be quite honest. It's a pretty good roll.
Okay.
The key is having all the rings and being down in the tunnels somewhere of Xipe Totec. It's an intriguing idea. Ben, do you have anything to add or adjust?
No, I think that all makes sense to me.
Indeed it is. Who wants to roll it? Oh, go ahead, Mads. Roll it. +2.
Okay. That's a 9.
Very good. The question is unlocked. And that next question is, let me find it here. How can we use the gold to get Memphis to pass on to the next world? That is also a complexity 4. It's a straightforward question.
I have an idea for that.
Okay.
Like we take the gold to the Memphis, and the only thing that will sink the Memphis is the gold being aboard.
Oh, I like that. The weight,
Right.
metaphorical weight too.
Exactly. Yeah.
It may well
Yeah.
be, but you still gotta answer the question.
Still gotta- yeah,
You still gotta find
use it.
clues.
Need more clues.
That's my theory, but yeah, we need
Yeah.
more clues to back that up.
The opportunity is resolve the threat by using the recovered gold to perform a quieting ritual. We've got 2 clues on it, so you're not doing
What's
pretty
the
good.
complexity of that one, sorry?
4.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, very good. Very interesting. Let's keep going. What is everyone going to do during the upcoming night phase? Slade? Or what do you want to
Yeah.
do? I have a feeling you're all going to be waylaid, but
I'm wondering what Slade can limp around and do and actually contribute to. Yeah, maybe circle back to me.
fair enough. Sister Mary?
I'm gonna take that key down into the tunnels and see if I can find a lock for it.
Find the gold. Gotta have these rings too, though, apparently. Seems like. Pamela Pickett?
Now we're all aware that the Memphis is going to be coming in like cannons blazing, right?
I don't think you know that. As players,
Okay.
you know that. I don't think your characters necessarily
Okay.
put that together.
Got it. Yeah, in which case it's like, as much as I'd like to get more stuff on that, I think Pamela's going to be now obsessed with trying to take care of some Ghosts Be Gone and get more, investigate more clues on Dr. Clarkson.
He will have his wagon set up. Are you going to set your wagon up at some point?
Yeah. I mean,
You can park your wagon next to his, I suppose, right?
might as well make it real convenient. Sure.
Travis?
Well, Travis wanted Dr. Clarkson brought into custody, so if for whatever reason that has not happened because my deputies have done such a poor job of executing the warrant, I think, much as I'd like to follow up with the gold somehow, I think I'm going to have to go and do it myself.
Well, then Slade.
Maybe Slade will try and keep up with Sister Mary and explore that tunnel.
That makes sense because you've actually been down there.
Yep.
And Sister Mary has not. So
Very good. Very good. Well, that all sounds great to me. Let's talk about the unseen. Tonight's unseen is the short straw. It is the last one available there on the character keeper. They say Deputy Calhoun has no luck whatsoever. Once again, he has drawn the short straw, meaning tonight he gets to guard the jail, do the night rounds, and kill time with solitaire to stay awake. Amanda, you have the first prompt. Rob, you have the second prompt. Ben, you have the third prompt. And Mads, you have the fourth prompt. Let's take 5 minutes. I'll see you back here for the night phase. Deputy Calhoun. Amanda, Calhoun stinks at cards, even when he's playing by himself. He blames it on the snoring prisoner. What does he do to wake the sleeping prisoner before leaving on the evening rounds?
it's one of those things that every time this prisoner snores, you can just see the twitch in the deputy's eye, how irritated he is by this. I mean, he would have lost the cards anyway, but the snoring man doesn't help. And I think as the sun starts to rise, you can start seeing the cracks of light in, or I guess the evening rounds. As the lanterns come on in the streets outside, you can see the cracks of light coming in through the window. And finally, the deputy gets fed up with this snoring and unlocks the door to unlocks the cell, throws his cup of cold coffee now into this poor prisoner's face, and the prisoner sputters and wakes up. What's that for? And the deputy says, just making sure you're still alive. Haven't heard a peep from you. And heads out on his rounds.
Nighttime on Santa Fe Street. Dr. Clarkson is currently exorcising a ghost for a crowd of onlookers. Slade, I think you and Sister Mary are maybe walking together, and we'll see this. You'll see the ghost rise up seemingly out of nowhere, and the crowd cries out in terror as they see this spectral blue glow. And Dr. Clarkson says, "Fear not, for I have ghost begone." And he drinks the bottle. He says, "Now, ghost, be gone!" And the ghost just like, and disappears. And everyone's like, "Oh," and they go to buy their Ghost Be Gone. You also will notice that Pamela has her wagon set up. Pamela, what does this look like? What's your pitch? How's the action tonight? How's the business tonight?
I mean, she's gone, of course, after that debacle, trying to chase after Dr. Clarkson. She goes to her wagon, and then she has a few levers and things. So when she activates them, then one side, not the side that has the lettering on it, but the other side kicks out into a couple of legs, and then to a platform that has the roulette wheel flat, and then a standing wheel to be able to try your luck, and then a convenient card table that folds out. So we could do maybe a quick game of blackjack or something.
I love it. Actually, I'm curious, Slade, how are you getting around, if at all, right now?
I think he has a makeshift crutch, probably just a conveniently shaped branch.
Indeed. I will tell you all that everyone's attention, both at Pamela's wagon and at Dr. Clarkson's wagon, is grabbed by a carriage rolling through town. And I mean a proper carriage, like you might see in Victorian England, right? It has brass detail. It has, 2 horses. It has a man, a carriage driver, who's wearing a silk tricorn hat and a wig. It's very storybook. And everyone's just looking like, "Whoa, who's that? What's this?" And a carriage comes and stops in the middle of Santa Fe Street. And the little curtain opens, and there's a boy inside. He looks like he's about 13 years old, wears his hair long with ribbons tied in it, or tied back with a ribbon. And he has a very soft, pale look. He does not look like a rough frontier boy by any stretch of the imagination. And he says, "Excuse me, could someone please tell me where this town's cheesemonger can be found?"
Pamela will
You
call
can
out
tell
to him.
no one knows what a cheesemonger is.
Pamela will call out to him, "I believe you're in the wrong country, little man."
He says, "Oh my, games of chance. How fantastic."
"Indeed, try your luck."
And he says, "Well, I might actually have a proposition for you, madam."
"Really?"
"Yes. Well, you see, I'm currently staying with Mrs. Alma Stackpole. I'm her guest. And she's hosting a dinner. Unfortunately, there aren't many other people to be at the dinner, just myself and her. We certainly can't ask one of the servants to sit down at the table, can we? And, well, I think it would be wonderful to have a little bit of after-dinner entertainment. Cards and dice, maybe even a roulette wheel. I think that would be splendid. Perhaps you would like to be our guest. Perhaps you and, well, any of your friends would like to join. I'm sure Mrs. Stackpole won't mind if I extend a gracious invitation to you all.
I would love to accept that invitation, at least for myself. I can't speak for my colleagues. They might be, well, busy elsewhere.
Are these your colleagues here? I say, sir, your leg does look quite a fright. Perhaps a ride in this carriage will do you some good.
Oh, do, Mr. Slade. That would probably make him more comfortable.
I had other plans this evening. Will you insist?
Oh, yes, I'm afraid I must.
And he'll sigh and just hobble up toward the carriage.
And you, sister? I would so love to have someone pray over the meal. Poor old Wellington, he doesn't really know the words to any prayers.
I suppose if, well, you are insisting. Is there space like outside the carriage? Like next
Yeah,
to
there's
the
like
driver?
a place to sit outside. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit there.
The driver just kind of gives you a funny look. He looks very uncomfortable in this getup that he's in. Slade and Pamela, do you bring some games and climb in?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's some portability to her kit, so I mean, like she's able to pack some of that up and be able to bring it with them, as long as there's room to strap it onto the back of the carriage or on top.
How delightful this is. I'm so happy that you're all able to join us this evening. Although I'm a bit sad about the cheese. Oh well. Let's cut over to Marshall. Travis. Travis, I think we just find you in the marshal's office. And Lloyd comes in and says, Marshall, a little bit of trouble outside of town. You might want to come have a look with me.
What kind of trouble, Lloyd?
Looks like a wagon overturned. I don't know. Just looks bad, kind of like when we had that situation up at the I'm told up at the old Carson homestead. Could be ghost stuff, could be regular old bandits. I don't know. But we might want to get out there soon.
Well, that does sound like it requires my attention, Lloyd, but at the same time, I don't know whatever happened to Mr. Slade and Dudley. And I don't see Mr. Clarkson in my cell now.
He's like, well, no, I reckon not. He's out on Santa Fe Street plying Ghost Be Gone at the moment.
And where's the rest of my deputies that I sent to arrest him?
Well, I really couldn't say, Marshal. I mean, you know what I was doing all day.
I ain't accusing you of nothing, Lloyd.
We ought to get out there. It looked real bad, Marshal, from what I heard anyway.
Fine, fine. Well, let's go take a look, but be quick about it. I don't want to take Mr. Clarkson into custody in front of that entire crowd anyway and cause a scene. And perhaps Mr. Slade and Dudley are on their way back. Okay, lead the way.
The short straw, Rob. Walking down the street at night is peaceful, at least. Calhoun swings the lantern and sings a sprightly tune. What's the song about?
Calhoun is from an Irish family, and I think the song he's singing is is an old folk song concerning a foolish lad who followed the rainbow to the end, trying to find the leprechaun's gold, and instead was lost to the little people, and never seen in the waking world again. And despite the seemingly mournful nature of the story the song tells, it's quite a lively tune, and it ends with the suggestion that the gold is still out there for anyone who dares to follow the rainbow.
Pamela and Slade. The carriage is quite posh. Seats are velvet. There's even like a sort of brocade wallpaper on the interior of it. And the seat that the boy is sitting on, it has had like a little custom footstool built in that he kind of like, because his feet don't touch all the way to the ground. And he's dressed in very, very fussy looking little blue satin suit and stockings with little slightly heeled shoes. And he says, I think we're going to have a wonderful time this evening. Don't you?
It seems like it. You seem rather far away from your usual environs.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm just a guest of Mrs. Stackpole. She really is a wonderful hostess. I think you'll find that to be the case. Mummy thinks Americans are unrefined, even crude, but I find Mrs. Stackpole to be the very soul of hospitality. Papa would be most proud to see how I've conducted myself since arriving here in the colonies, as he would say. I'm a regular Daniel Boone, eh? A roughneck of the frontier.
I think you're just missing the hat. Is this her carriage, or is this yours?
Oh, she had this sent over. Isn't this wonderful?
It is. I have not seen the like since I've visited friends.
I'm slightly embarrassed to say that it was probably done at great cost.
Embarrassed? Really?
Well, money is not the sort of thing that proper people talk about, you know.
No, it isn't.
I think Slade will be sitting there just staring at the boy. Would he get any... Is the boy alive?
You're getting mixed signals. It's that same sort of like mixed sense. Could be or might not be. But you can roll an information move of sensitivity regardless.
I think I'll do that. That is 11.
11. Let me take a look at the clues. I don't know if you're picking up on anything in terms of his countenance, but the luxury of this space, his clothing, his appearance, all of it is belied by the fact that there's a distinct smell of grave dirt in this carriage.
Can I also roll investigation with presence? I'd like to see
Just
if I
chatting
can...
him up. Yeah, you can take that. Go ahead.
Okay.
Let me take a look at your conditions, though. See if they might apply here.
Unnerved and hollow.
Oh, yeah, but I want disadvantage on that.
You do want to... Okay.
I do, yeah.
With presence.
Yeah, I like presence here, yeah.
Okay. Ooh, all right, so disadvantage, so that's 7 plus 3 is 10.
Good. I'll give you your clue when we get back. Sister Mary, you're outside the carriage with the man in his little footman uniform. And what do you do? He's very
Oh,
quiet.
listen, my good sir. I've seen many a footman in my life, and I can tell that you're certainly in a strange gig today.
Oh, you've seen a footman, have you? Here in El Paso?
Well, I've been various other places. Who
World traveler,
put you
huh?
up to this?
And he's like, he just kind of grunts. I don't think he wants to talk. So you can make the information move, though, with presence. And yeah, just presence.
Luckily, my presence is pretty good. That's a 7.
We'll come back to that as well. Travis, you get out to where there's supposed to be an overturned wagon, and there's no overturned wagon.
Why am I not surprised?
And also, streaking overhead, you hear it first. A green streak flies overhead and lands soundlessly somewhere in El Paso.
Lloyd? So what in the heck is going on here?
He's like, look at that, Travis. Rocket's green flare. As another one flies overhead. And
Now, you're going to need
lands.
to tell me why you brought me out here when there's clearly nothing to be seen. And at the same time, the Memphis is commencing to shelling the city of El Paso with who knows what.
We cut over to the carriage. You all hear the howling. And you see the faint, sudden green glow outside. And the boy says, "How wonderful, fireworks!" He goes to the window.
These are not fireworks. Mr. Slade, do you know what this is?
I do. We should leave.
But what about the dinner? What about the party?
There are more important goings on, and I think Slade will be reaching for the door handle.
Mr. Slade, the carriage is still moving.
Yes.
And Pamela will desperately, knock on the near the box and, driver, stop.
Indeed. Marshall. Lloyd says, I think this is the part where we count paces, Travis. I don't want to be too underhanded about how this is supposed to go. Got to give the Sidewinder kid a fair chance, you know?
Someone told me it was going to come to this evening, Lloyd.
Yeah,
Here.
reckon it is.
Why don't I make this fair on you? And Travis takes damnation from his belt, from the holster, and offers it handle first to Lloyd.
Good. Let's go back over to the short straw. Ben Calhoun checks the doors of businesses as he walks past. What business does he find unlocked, and what rationalization does he offer himself as he locks it back up without an investigation? Plague of bad deputies.
Miss Jurek, the pharmacist, has she's been a credit to the town since she arrived. And
To be clear, this is not El Paso. Just make that clear to everybody. It's
Right,
some
yes.
other town. Yeah.
This is a different town, but she's been a credit to that town. And the deputy has noticed that people have gotten healthier, but he's also aware that Miss Jurek, some of the wares that she sells have a bit of a soporific effect, or maybe even mildly hallucinogenic. And he's caught her a couple times, maybe dipping into her own supply. And so he figures she probably just had a bit too much and wandered out of home without remembering to lock the door.
Very good, very good. Sister Mary, what was your information move roll?
7.
Okay, we'll come back to that in a moment. Or get you clue in a bit. I owe clue as well to Pamela. Pamela, I will tell you that I think you're basically you've put the boy at ease enough to where maybe he's not being careful. It's unclear. But he moves his feet from the little footrest at one point, maybe in excitement to look at the fireworks. And you see that there are glowing footprints left on the footstool. Very faint, and they disappear quickly. And Sister Mary, he's not opening up to you at all. Seems like he doesn't really want to talk to you. And trying to think how to present this. Hold on. But in the ride, you're able to notice something sticking out of his pocket. It's a pair of white stockings with little blue ribbons kind of sewn into them, just sticking out of his pocket. And when he sees you looking at them, he kind of pushes them down in his pocket a little deeper. And that's when we hear we see the streaking overhead. You see all that, and we hear the stop, stop, stop. And he does come to a stop. And the boy says, "But you can't leave now. We have to get to Mrs. Stackpole's home to have the party. We're supposed to play games."
Driver, back to El Paso this instant.
Driver,
Extend our
no.
apologies.
Would it be faster if we had him join the game and we rush to the Memphis?
I wish to register my discontent at this idea. We're going to Mrs. Stackpole's. This is no business of mine.
Then in which case I will have to say I have to take a rain check in this case. This
You are a
commands
little
more
ways away
attention.
you are a little ways away from town at this point. You can rush back, certainly, but
Or again, commandeer the carriage.
you can you can try to commandeer the carriage. There's nothing to stop you from trying to do that. It's just the two of them.
Right. I mean, Sister Mary, you're up on the top. I mean, that's one idea.
Yeah, I want to grab the reins
Mm.
from this guy.
It's the night move. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
He'll push me off the carriage, and the horses will trample me.
Oh, boy. It's worse than that. He'll also lock the carriage doors from the outside.
Oof.
Go ahead and roll with vitality and taking a look at your conditions. I think you're okay on conditions. Go ahead and just roll vitality.
6.
6. Travis Walker. Lloyd takes damnation, and he's kind of holding it in his hand. He's almost got like this look of awe. He says, "I've seen you shoot down plenty of people with this gun, Travis. I've always wondered if it was the gun or if it was the boy. Sorry, the man. I guess we'll find
like-
out now, won't we?
You like the way it feels, Lloyd?
Reckon I do, Travis. I reckon I do. And he begins getting into position. I take it you do as well.
Yeah.
More cannon fire overhead. This one you see land. It lands in the stable. Doesn't damage the building at all. Just goes right through. And you just see a big flash of green from inside the stable, and you hear a scream. Ah! Presumably that's the tall, good-looking stable boy whose name I can't remember right now.
Now, Lloyd, let's not make this take too long. I got matters to attend to back in town.
He smiles. Let's cut back over to our last stop with the short straw. Mads, Calhoun gets back to jail. It is true he really has no luck. What story does he begin to contrive about how the prisoner escaped on his watch?
He gets back to the jail, but I mean, instead of like ambling in like he normally does, just to wrap up the luckless night, I mean, he literally stumbles in, crashes into the door, and then like bangs his head on the desk nearby, and then sees that the door of the cell is wide open, and he rubs the growing bruise on and bump on his head, and then realizes it's like, you know, he can start concocting this story, which he starts telling himself, that happened where the prisoner had managed to get a hold of the key and managed to you know, break out of the cell, and then come upon Calhoun by surprise, and then take him and punch him and bang his head against the wall, and was able to get away.
The carriage driver, sensing there's going to be a mutiny, urges the horses forward. Sister Mary, you make your move, trying to grab the ropes, trying to knock him off or whatever, and he just grabs you and uses his strength to shove you forward into the horses, where you are crushed beneath their hooves. They do not have the strange, eerie, light gallop of horse. These are proper horses with proper heavy hooves. Pamela and Slade, you hear a scream from outside the carriage. The boy goes, "My goodness, what was that? What a commotion!" And you just hear like a clunk clunk as someone knocks down the little long bar locks onto the carriage. The boy says, "For our safety, I'm sure." Sister Mary, are you marking Janus Mask?
Yeah, I'm gonna mark a mask.
Instead, please describe how you successfully commandeer the carriage.
I think it's not very elegant. I think it involves shoving an elbow into a pressure point sort of situation and grabbing the reins when the moment is appropriate. I think the driver doesn't really fall off. You know what? Actually, he does fall off, but maybe he's not dead. I think he sort of falls off like he's drunk, you know, having been hit so hard, probably in the armpit area with an elbow, and stumbles off, landing really unceremoniously on his ass in this dirt road. And Sister Mary just sort of cracks the reins, spins the carriage around, and heads back towards El Paso.
We'll pick up this moment in a bit, but I do want to say, Travis, how does the shootout go with Lloyd?
Lloyd marches a few paces away, and Travis kind of waits for him calmly. And then Lloyd turns and brings damnation up and aims it straight at Travis. And as he's about to pull the trigger, we see rust spread across the gun, and it crumbles into dust in his hand and falls to the ground. And Travis, slowly but not too slowly, pulls Salvation from the holster and just says, I told you, don't go listening to the promises that lady in gold makes. And we just hear the gun fire, and Lloyd, who's kind of looking at his hand in confusion, looks up and meets Travis's eyes and just falls gently forward onto his face.
I will wrap up the night phase by saying that the four of you are able to get back to town. People are already kind of like running. You're able to get them outside the vicinity of El Paso. It's just a matter of distance, getting everybody out of town. The buildings offer no protection. You see one of the green shells land at the Red Rock, and you hear the cry of dance hall girls from the upstairs apartment. You see one land in the K&D feed and seed, and you hear August Kilkenny bellow out in terror. But you are otherwise able to get everyone to safety. And even at this distance, you can see the Memphis on the river. It is moving no further. Its wreckage has come to rest near El Paso. Oh, that's right. The Red Rock is burned down. Well, I'm sure that whatever structure was there for the living structure is. That concludes the night phase. Let's go to the dawn. A threat was not resolved, so we don't get any rewards. Let's take a look at dawn questions. Everyone gets the first one because you did, in fact, answer a capital Q question, but we're not getting the second one. Let's do echoes in the night. Travis, did you get an echo in the night?
I was going to make a pitch that the rainbow in Calhoun's song echoes the kind of arcing of the fire from the Memphis. That's about as close as I could get.
Yeah, I'm kind of into it. Yeah, I'm into it. I'll take it. Sister Mary?
Yeah, kind of a heavy-handed one with the driver fallen sort of drunkenly off of the carriage, and then
Slade?
The pharmacist drinking her own supply, and the ghost be gone.
Pamela?
Unless I got it unconsciously, I don't think I did.
Okay, fair enough. Let's go to other questions. Travis, did you test to see if your reputation is spreading without naming yourself?
I don't think so.
Did you stick up for the little guy?
Also, no.
Sister Mary, did you try to convince someone to do the right thing?
Nothing really stands out.
Did you speak on matters of theology to anybody who would listen?
Not in particular. Not like I usually do.
Slade, did you express a clear preference for the night over the day?
Yes, and complaining about how he was defeated by a door.
No. Yeah. Did you respectfully help a dying mortal cross over to the spirit world?
No.
Pamela, did you help the downtrodden to make yourself feel better?
I tried with Daisy, and she was a piece
Oh,
of
yeah.
crap.
I'll take it. Yeah.
Thank
Did you
you.
tell the truth and pay a price for it?
Don't know that I did. I don't think so.
You can mark New Dawn questions if you wish. I don't think we have any playbook moves that need to be resolved anymore. But I think we have some Janus masks out in the world if somebody wants to narrate those.
I kind of rolled mine into the confrontation with Lloyd. That was the darkened threshold.
Oh yeah, what does that one do?
So I have to narrate a scene where one of the guns rusts to nothing in my hands, or in this case in Lloyd's hands.
Oh, interesting.
So that's now
Okay.
removed from my personal quarters.
Yeah, that's great. Did you have one, Pamela?
I do, yeah. Mask of the Past. Narrate a flashback to your childhood showing the first time you told a lie. No, Mr. Felton. He wasn't happy. Mr. Abernathy was embarrassed at the club by the stain under his lapel. I overheard him say, "I think he's gonna let you go. I know your mother's still in the hospital. I have some coin in my purse, if you think that helps." Mr. Abernathy was a friend of the family, with a habit of pinching my cheek, perhaps other places as well, and calling me the cutest little thing. And with Felton already with murder in his heart from being Abernathy's long-suffering valet and his mother, so long-suffering in the hospital, well...
Very good. Any other Janus mask?
I have one. Narrate a montage of you settling into your life of hypocrisy in El Paso, sinning on Saturday and ministering on Sunday. We see Sister Mary as she is getting used to being the sort of head religious person in El Paso. We see her taking confessions, not just in the, there's sort of like a makeshift confession booth as the church is being built, but not even just there, out on the street or listening in on people's conversations at the bar or the saloon or whatever needs to be done to keep this town safe and protect the souls of the people here, the good people of El Paso. We see Sister Mary overhearing a confession of murder. We see her overhearing a confession of abuse, confessions of various horrifying, harmful things against the people of El Paso. And we see glimpses of a woman pushing somebody off of a little cliff, knocking someone downstairs, perhaps shooting somebody out in the middle of the night where no one can see. It's not vigilantism when you are responsible for the safety of your community. In fact, it's not even a sin. It's righteous to protect your town from people like this. And she'll do that, whatever it takes.
Any other Janus mask? Okay. That will conclude our session. Let's have a stars and wishes. Whoever wants to go first, take it away.
I'll go. Star for that scene with the rusting gun was really great. Also, Pamela getting herself into trouble and then climbing out of a window to get herself out of trouble, and it worked out better than it could have. So that was good. Every scene with Sister Mary being righteous when we find out either immediately or shortly after that she's really in no position to be is always great. As was mentioned in the chat, your posh British child, Jason, is always a joy to get back in play. I'm looking forward to seeing where the boy who might be a ghost goes. And also a star for how you handled Slade trying to confront Wyatt. Didn't work out how you expected. That was a good little subversion.
Big star for the whole kind of messed up scene out at the Prior's ranch with everything going wrong and Slade being hobbled and Pamela, who was the only one Travis had not explicitly instructed to take Clarkson into custody, being the one to actually pursue him. Yeah, I'm looking forward to next week when Travis gets to ask them what they thought they were doing. That should be fun. That was a really fun scene to listen to. Yeah, I really enjoyed the whole kind of vibe of the scene you built around the Memphis's arrival and what's happening there. And yeah, there's just this real sense of kind of doom, I think, hanging over things, and it feels like it's like the absence of Wyatt as that anchoring figure is really what's, you know, we've all kind of come adrift without his presence, right? So yeah, good session.
I really enjoyed the role play. Pardon. Really enjoyed the role play of this whole entire session. I mean, from Wyatt's funeral and then how it just dovetailed into people having vulnerable moves and then going into things that we were doing in the day phase, and then again, yeah, as Rob said, like the ridiculous scene over at the Priors, that took a turn I was not expecting whatsoever. Oh my gosh. And yeah, then just like diving into the supernatural part of it. I mean, Pamela's had her suspicions, but I mean, even more so now that, yeah, Mr. Perdition's a piece of work and not necessarily human. So be interested to see what happens there. And yes, I love when Sister Mary like goes off on her rant, and then we see the masks as a complete counterpoint to her, you know, holy her spiritual nature that she shows. And yeah, Slade being a very intriguing and enigmatic as usual. And then Travis, that scene with the gun. I mean, basically both scenes, one at the Memphis and then of course with Lloyd. I mean, it's like there's just always this knife edge tension that is just getting more serious now, and even more so with the responsibility on your shoulders. So yeah, enjoyed the whole story and the role play for this entire session.
I also really, really loved all the Travis and Lloyd bits. I thought they were just such great character moments. And you could really see that, like, as soon as it started happening, you're like, oh man, no, he's gonna shoot himself in the foot or head or whatever. This is gonna go really bad. And I thought that was great. I love that I still can't really tell if Del Sol is real or not. I don't know what his deal is, and I love that. Everything about Dudley Wainwright and everything about Horse is amazing. just amazing. I don't even, yeah, I can't. That whole scene with out at the Priors, and then with Pamela getting on a horse and the whole chase, and oh my god, it was just a lot of fun moments. And I'm really surprised that the blue boy just showed up out of nowhere, like, hey guys, let's go to a party. Like, what? Are you supposed to be a ghost? We don't know anything about this. So I think that was a lot of fun. A really fun way to completely derail us.
Yeah, great session. I also enjoyed the role play a lot. I enjoyed like pretty much every character interaction, every one-on-one character interaction was really terrific. The the chess match, the scene before that with Sister Mary, um, the I had a lot of fun playing Deputy Wainwright today. He was really great fun today. Horse was fun. Um, Getting the blue boy in there was really interesting. I intended for the whole blue boy threat to feel like a real, like, almost invasion into the setting. Like nothing about it feels right, and so that I feel like that came across pretty well. Yeah, and I'm also enjoying the mystery of Del Sol. I just genuinely really like the kind of like, I like how Travis is bearing the weight of being the marshal, like in this session. I thought that was really great. Um and I thought the sort of parting words for Wyatt were quite good too, from Sister Mary. Um uh Poor Slade and his leg injuries. Like, how many different leg injuries can Slade have in this campaign? We wonder.
I love the idea of Slade just ignoring it because it's like
Not his
physical
body,
injury
right?
to
Yeah.
him is
Yeah. Just driving it like a stolen car. But yeah, it was good time. I really had a good time. I am very curious. You're still hanging at 14 mastermind clues. So I'm curious to see when that's going to get triggered. I'm very curious to see if Travis is going to trigger the the kid specific threat, because that is something that can happen even if there are 15 mastermind clues. And yeah, yeah, that's basically, it's good. I mean, it was a really good session. It felt like a really good like it felt like a good, like, sort of, like a dip from the energy of last week and the intensity of last week, but then it kind of just ramped right back up. Like the night phase just like hello, and it just kind of came right back. So kind of enjoyed that. I also kind of enjoyed I loved the scene out at the Prior homestead, because it almost felt like a thriller, or like some kind of like a David Fincher movie or something. Like it had this like weird vibe to it, which I thought was really great. So yeah. Any other stars or wishes?
I wish to see what's going to happen. That was my last Mask of the Past, and I
Very
only have
good.
one Mask of the Future left.
Yeah, and I assume it's Bloodsoaked Portal.
It sure is. So
You
it's
can
going to be
get Pious
interesting to see what
cleared.
happens.
You can get Pious cleared, and that'll
I'm
take care of
so
it.
close. I'm
Yeah.
so close. So
Yeah.
I'm fingers crossed. I was heartbroken when I rolled that 6, and I rolled a 6 plus 0, and I'm like, there's nothing I can do. I should have used an item for my
Yeah.
personal quarters, but
Yeah.
oh well.
I did, it was noted in the chat that Travis caused the wrong gun to rust. I just, to keep it honest, I do like the idea of Travis looking down and seeing that you handed him salvation instead of damnation. Like it's almost like, whoa, plot twist or something like that. Like, that'd be kind of fun. Also, I want to just check in about that clue. I think you owed me a clue, Ben, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if you ever gave me that or
Yes,
not.
I did. I popped it under the hunt for rebel gold, that one of the Confederate soldiers was found flayed.
Okay, yeah, I didn't. We should talk about that next time, because I'd like to see how you figure that out in the fiction. But I saw that on there, and I was like, I don't remember giving them that clue. So, all right, cool. Okay, if there's nothing else, I think we're good to go. So thank you all for a fabulous session. Let's wave goodbye to people watching the video.